Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I think they should have titled it Aquaman and the Lost Script. It was supposed to be the end of the DC extended universe, but Shazam was kind of supposed to be the end of that universe, and so was the Flash supposed to be the end of that universe. It seems like they just made those last three movies to build up some money to do something, hopefully something big. I did not fall over myself in enjoyment about this movie. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad movie. There's a standard for the superhero movies because of things like The Dark Knight and Captain America Civil War, Man of Steel. People are looking at certain superhero movies and they're expecting a great big Black Panther, expecting a great big wow. They want to be wowed every time. Not every movie wows, but these movies are still grossing hundreds of millions of dollars. Godzilla is arguably the best movie of the year, and it's floating around $60 million. Quantumania did way more than that, but I would say it's not as good a movie. It's a superhero movie. They're going to draw crowds. There's no way around it. People are going to say, I hate this movie, and then they're going to go watch it and bring their family and wait for the sequel. And then they're going to get on Facebook and say, I hated this movie. But you watch it, man. They still have a draw. You had the cowboy movies, you had the sci-fi movies, you had the horror movies, and now, you had the action movies, and now you've got the superhero movies. Every few years there's a different genre, 20 years or so. And it's about run halfway through the 20-year mark, give or take. So there's a lot more to it, man. There's going to be some more movies, a lot more movies, and billions of dollars are going to be spent watching these movies. So even when I say I did not truly enjoy this movie, I say that after watching it. And I may not go to the theaters and watch it again, but when it comes on, Netflix or something like that, I'll probably turn it on, check it out. Just the same, man. And I'm betting dimes to donuts that you will too. This movie starred Jason Momoa, and I think this is going to be his last run as Aquaman. The rumor is he's going to be a different character. He's going to still be with DC, but a different character. And I'm thinking he's got to be Lobo. That's the next thing that I would see him as. And as Lobo, he wouldn't have to do as many crunches, man. Lobo's got a little bit of a gut. He's a big, muscular guy, but he doesn't have the six-pack, so Momoa wouldn't have to do that. Patrick Wilson, they bring him back, and the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, this reminds me of Ragnarok, when Thor and Loki being the enemy of the franchise for so long, those two become, they get together again like brothers, and it turns Loki, and he starts to be more benevolent. That's pretty much what Orm was in this movie. He was Loki, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to say 100% because things was happening in the audience, but I'm pretty sure that Momoa even says, "Come on, Loki." And I'm like, did he just call him Loki? Is that their way of saying, yeah, man, we're ripping off an idea and we don't care because we're DC. That's what we do. So I'm pretty sure I heard him say that. Come on, Loki. Let me check the internet. I'm sure somebody else saw it. It's got to be all over the place. By now, the movie's been out for a day. Yahya Abdul Mateen II is in there. He gives a great performance, but I didn't understand exactly what his character was doing. Apparently he's going to be in Marvel, playing a pretty popular character fairly soon. They've pretty much got him slated for his own series, so that ought to be cool. So he could have went there and just phoned it in and got a paycheck and just went on to his next job. But he played it well. He played it well for what it was written as. But the way they wrote it, he hates Aquaman. He wanted to get Aquaman. He says, I'm going to kill Aquaman and his family. I'm going to burn his city to the ground. But almost the entire movie, he was possessed by another entity. So the stuff he was doing wasn't really his own doing. In fact, one time when he speaks to Aquaman, he doesn't say, yeah, remember what you did to my dad? He talks about, things that happened 1,000 years ago. And I'm like, that dude's not right. He's possessed. There's a ghost inside of him. So he's not in his right mind for the entirety of the movie. And then the instant that he's in his right mind, within 3 minutes, that's the end of him. Or so you would think. Well, it's the end of him because they're not doing another Aquaman movie in this run. So he's over with moments after. So it wasn't really him, man. It was another entity just using him. So that wasn't that cool, man. And then someone else gets possessed by the entity. And the entity is more pleased to have that particular body. And that person just fights him off and says, nah, I don't think I want to be possessed, pretty much. In the course of about a minute, just kind of shrugs this super powerful magical deity off of him, because Black Manta is the second tier villain in this movie. There's somebody else pulling the strings, and they make him seem like it's like DC has a problem with their villains. They had Steppenwolf, who through the entire movie was tough and he could fight everybody and he beat up Aquaman and he was doing all of this and that, beating the Amazons down all casually. But he's the servant of Darkseid. And Darkseid, when they showed him, got beat so badly that he didn't remember what planet he was on. He got beat so badly they had to drag him off the field. I'm pretty sure that dude was crying. So I'm like, he's the more powerful one. But he didn't last but a couple of minutes in the movie. That's what happens here. Yaya is a weaker character compared to the entity that's truly pulling the strings. But he lasts way longer than the actual entity. In fact, the actual entity, once he decides, all right, it's my turn, I need to get in there. All Thanos putting on the glove, I'll handle this myself, and everything. But he lasted, I don't know, if I was underwater timing it and he showed up and I was like, go, it would have been like a minute and a half and he was done. I'm like, you're supposed to be the most powerful thing. How are you beaten that quickly? You got all of this power. I don't want to say what his powers are, but he's got a lot of powers. And I'm like, he's got all these powers, but he's beaten in seconds. And that just didn't make any sense to me. It was like they were writing the script and it was like, okay, dang, we're almost at the end of the movie, but you still haven't introduced the main character, the main villain. Oh yeah, we'll introduce him and then we'll kill him and then that'll be it. Nobody will say anything because it's the end of this run anyway. And I was like, the whole movie, that guy's been like, you wait till I get out. Oh, don't let me out. And then he gets out and he gets beat in seconds. This is what happens with DC villains. You're not compelled to like them. With Thanos, you could understand what he was doing. He understood that resources were running out in the universe. How come he didn't quadruple the resources? I don't know. But he's like, I got to get rid of some of the people so that the resources would last, so that people could have a better life. What he did was evil, but why he did it was, you understood it. Killmonger was like, I need to conquer Wakanda so that I can use their technology to free people around the world who are oppressed. And I'll kill anybody that gets in my way. What he was trying to do was honorable. The way he went about it was evil. If you've got a villain that is 100% dedicated to whatever they're doing, and mentally you can get behind what they're doing, you can relate to them, you can say, that didn't make sense. I do understand that. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Was the villain the woman, the babysitter, or was the villain the wife? Because the wife killed the babysitter. I'm pretty sure, I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but I'm pretty sure she threw her out of a window. So the wife ended up being a murderer, but she did it for a reason that we can understand. She was protecting her family. You can relate to that, even though the wife should have gone to jail for murder. She threw a woman out of a window, she landed on a fence and was punctured through the face, head, lungs, wherever, by the fence. And then she just went to work the next day? Nah, in real life that chick would have gone to jail. But you understand why she did it. Here, you understand what Black Manta's doing. Even though he was a villain before, Aquaman set in motion the things that made his father die. Somebody kills your pop. If you have superpowers, you're probably going to do something harsh. It makes sense. But in this movie, he's like, I'm going to get Aquaman. And then somebody possesses him almost immediately. And though, we're looking at Yahya Mateen II acting, it's an actual other person that's controlling him through the whole movie. He looks at people and his eyes glow green. And you're like, that's that thing. So he was in it, but he wasn't in it. So the motivation changed. Amber Heard was in this movie, and the entire time she was in it, I was thinking, wow, they kept her in the movie? I didn't think she was going to be in the movie. I thought they might have replaced her. I guess they had a good reason. Probably cost too much money to replace her, or they didn't care about the backlash. To be honest, I watched the movie. It didn't mean nothing to me. It was just something that struck me as odd. I was like, wow, I thought they said they were going to replace her. They didn't do it. Huh. Kooky. Nicole Kidman is in this movie. And Nicole Kidman plays the Queen, right? So the Queen is still alive. But Arthur Curry, Aquaman, is the king. He can't be the king if his mother is the queen. She'd have to step down because, the king and the queen are supposed to be married in almost every culture. So how is the queen his mother? They would have to give her a different title, right? But she was still ruling Atlantis, and he was ruling Atlantis. And I was like, well, that's weird. It's Atlantis. I ain't never been to Atlantis. But, you would think you wouldn't rule next to your mother. Maybe he would be the prince until his mom passed, and then he'd be the king. But she was the queen, Queen Atlanta. And he was King Curry, King Arthur, King of Atlantis. I was like, that I'll bet not a lot of people noticed that, but I was like, how is he the king if his mom is the queen? That's kooky. But, and again, it's Atlantis. I ain't never been there. Maybe that's how they do it. But there's a scene where Princess Atlanta is chasing some villains in this underwater motorcycle type thing, and it's fast. Then she jumps off of it and swims like twice as fast as the motorcycle. So I'm thinking Why were you on that thing anyway? If somebody stole my wallet and was running away, and some dude said, "Here, take some roller skates," I can't roller skate. I'm not that fast on roller skates. I'm faster just running. I would just run. If she knew that she was faster than that, I mean, she was like way faster than that ship. And they probably did that to show how fast the Atlanteans can swim. But if you can swim that fast, why would you have a ship that moves slower than you swimming? You know what I mean? We can breathe oxygen without help. So we don't build tanks to go on our back to help us breathe. We can do better without a device like that. If they can do better without a device like that, there's this race in DC called Thanagarians. That's where Hawkman and Hawkgirl comes from. You know, they got these special wings that they can fly. They can fly with, but they still got spaceships. I always wondered about that too. But anyway, she's way faster. And she's the queen. And she's chasing people. She's like, I'll handle this. And I'm thinking, would you? Really? That's what you're going to do? You going to handle it? I mean, if somebody tried to steal the crown jewels, I don't think Prince Harry is going to grab a sword, a knife, and a shield and say, "Stand back, guards, I'll handle this." If somebody tried to do something wacky to America, Biden's not going to jump out there and be like, "I'll handle this." The monarch doesn't usually do that. You know, they send the guards or the troops or whomever. And she was just like, "I'll handle it." And I'm like, why you got guards? Why do they exist? I don't understand that. Randall Park is in this movie, and I enjoy Randall Park. He's really good. He's very zany. He's comic genius. But they didn't really let him cut loose in this movie. Not really. Not like say WandaVision. He was really good in that. And Ant-Man, he was really good in that. But they didn't. They stifled him, I think. In this movie, Aquaman has a son. In the comics, I was expecting going to the movie and seeing something dark, because in the comics, Aquaman had a son, and he called him Aqua Baby. And Black Manta, because of the death of his father, was real upset with Aquaman, and he wanted to do horrible things to Aquaman, and one of them was to do terrible things to his son that would make it so that his son did not see his next birthday. In the comic books, he did that. It's one of the most horrible things that has happened, one of the most tragic things that has happened, one of the most villainous things that has happened in all of comic books. He unalived Aqua Baby. So when this came out, I was like, wow, are they going to pull the trigger on that? It's kind of dark. Are they going to do it? Spoiler, because here comes the answer. You ready? You still there? Nah, they didn't pull the trigger on it. They didn't do it. But it looked like they were going to. I was like, whoa. At the last minute, I was like, wow, they're really going to do it. And then they didn't do it. They didn't do it, which I think might have been a smart move. It would have been very dark, and it would have changed people's opinion on the movie, on DC Universe. But the movie was okay, but it was a little scattered. It was like 3 or 4 different people were working on the script, and they weren't all talking to one another. There were a lot of things that were happening. There was a lot of stuff that reminded me of maybe Game of Thrones, or perhaps Lord of the Rings. They had that kind of a feel sometime during the movie. And it just bounced around a lot. There's a thing that they don't want to destroy, because it would mess up the atmosphere, you know, and make the earth unlivable. They even say in there, don't throw it, because it'll blow up. They don't want that to happen. But when they finally catch up with the stuff, you know, one of the guys is like, fire the missiles. And I'm like, I thought you wasn't supposed to blow that stuff up. And they blew it up. And it was just gone. I was like, wait a minute. I thought that if the villain was trying to blow that stuff up, and now you blew the stuff up, and because you're the good guy, you blew the stuff up, and it doesn't matter anymore? What the heck? That's like if Iron Man would have took the glove, the gauntlet from Thanos, and said, I'm going to kill everybody, not you. Snap. I was like, you still snapped your fingers, man. You still got rid of everybody. Why'd you do it? You did the exact same thing he was going to do. That's what happened in this movie. They did the exact same thing the villain was going to do, except it turned out good when they did it. The movie was all over the place. It was the last one. I think they said, let's introduce some monsters. Let's introduce some powerful weapons. Let's blow some stuff up. Everybody have a good time. Here's your paychecks. And everybody that's staying and gonna be in the new universe, I'll see you next week. And then that was it. Man, clearly it's not gonna tie into anything because it's the end of the universe. I don't really know why they made the movie, man, to be honest. But I'm bad-mouthing it. But it was still good in comparison to other movies. It was not good in comparison to some really good superhero movies. I don't think it's going to make as much. I mean, it might make 100 million because it's a superhero movie. And people are going to rush to see it before the word gets out that it's, I could have had a V8. But anyway, that's what I thought about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Even the title, there were some problems with that. But I would give Aquaman 6 bags of popcorn. 6 bags of popcorn. I would have said 5, but it's a superhero movie and I dig superhero movies. But 6 bags of popcorn. Because that's what I think about that. More importantly, what do you think about that? Now that we talked about it in the video, let's talk about it some more in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Popcorn passport. Get your popcorn passport.